YouTube, everybody. Thank you for joining yet another episode of Ciphered Knowledge with Chrissy. Before we get started, I want to go ahead and pay my dues. If you follow Ciphered Knowledge with Chrissy and watch it, make sure you go to IG and Facebook at Chrissy.Cipher. Like, subscribe, share, so that you can get all the up-to-date content on what's going on, who's coming on next, and some sneak peeks in between here and there. Also, make sure you head over to our YouTube channel. It's 2M1L Media. There you'll find a bunch of great shows. You'll have Cipher Knowledge with Chrissy every Sunday at 8 p.m. You have Around the Turnbuckle Saturdays and Sundays at 6 p.m. You have Home Team Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Then you also have Spitting with Spitter Wednesdays at 8 p.m. And keep an eye out because we got another show coming on. It's 2 cents with 2 dimes, and that'll be coming very, very soon. So before I introduce you, let's just go ahead and see what we got going on here. Hello, ladies. Thank you for joining so much. Thank you. Thank you. So now I've been waiting for this show. I'm telling you, I'm super, super excited. I am going to go ahead and introduce to you Stacie Ysidro, and she is the founder of Holistic Progressions and is a sex coach. Hi, Stacie. Thank you so much for joining.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Yes. So I usually start off asking everybody the same question, which is, what inspired you to start your own company, Holistic Progressions, and also to become a sex coach? Like that's not usual. So where did you get that idea from?
Well, I would love to tell that whole entire story, but that is another episode for another time. I can let you know that growing up, I was in an environment where my mom spoke to me about sexuality openly, and there wasn't shame and judgment. So I was always really comfortable with my sexuality and very sexually expressive and very in tune and connected. So that was just always a part of who I was. And as I got older and worked through the salon, I was a salon professional for 20 years. And all of my clients would tell me things about their sex life and ask me questions. And so I couldn't sit next to certain people in the salon because my conversations were going to be, pretty detailed and explicit. So yeah, I always knew that I was very comfortable and open and non-judgmental. And I realized that not everybody is like that. And then I was like, okay, well, if not everyone's like that, this could be a cue to me that this is a gift and talent and skill that I have. So I went through a coaching program for business and life coaching, and they made me find my niche. And of course, it was spirituality and sexuality. And I go in there and everyone's saying their niche. They're like, I'm a grief coach and I'm an executive coach and I work in sales and I do the hair toss and I'm a sex coach. And they looked at me and they said, oh my God, yes, you are. But that was not one of the options that we gave you. Yeah, so I went off on this whole other journey around sexuality and then did get a sex coaching certification and have worked in Tantra, sacred sexuality, BDSM, all realms of sexuality, you name it, I've done it. Nothing is taboo to me, and you cannot shock me. You cannot tell me something I have not seen, heard, or done. So there is never any judgments on anything that anyone says. And I use that experience and that perspective to work with my clients and help them heal sexually and access their personal growth and development and spirituality through sex. Super exciting.
Definitely. And, it's so funny that you say that your mom, was pretty much open with sexuality. As a nurse, I am like that with my kids, and I have been like that with my kids. I didn't use, pseudo names for body parts. They were all labeled what they were clinically. We kind of, I would open up a book and show my son and tell him, listen, if you have sex without a condom, let me show you what's going to happen. Like, kind of, so it's very, very open. My daughter's 27 and I speak with her openly about, my sexual relationships and things like that. And it's not in a dirty, disgusting way. It's in a very kind of, girlfriend and, not professional, but just, very, I guess the clinical, right? I'm very clinical. So,
yeah, and sex is not a dirty thing. I think that's one of those unconscious or even conscious programming that we get, is that sex and sexuality is dirty and it's bad, and our bodies are dirty or bad, especially if we have sex or enjoy sex. So it's, one of my missions is really healing that and taking away the shame and guilt that people experience around their own bodies and around sexuality in general.
Absolutely. I think that's so important because it is shamed, and it shouldn't be. And especially if you're in a loving, caring relationship, safe relationship, not even just loving and caring, because, everybody has their different perspectives of how they treat sex, but just a safe environment, I think, is more important than anything else. So we did have a lot of people take the Erotic Blueprint quiz. And I kind of wanted to go over the different styles and like, what do they mean? Like, what are they?
Okay, so the Erotic Blueprints is a typing system for arousal and pleasure. So if anyone is familiar with the 5 love languages, it's similar to that, but this is for sex. So it's way more fun, way cooler. It's way more fun and way more exciting. So basically it's broken down into different blueprints. And the woman that founded this program and this course is, her name is Jaiya. And she's an internationally renowned sex educator and sexologist. And she speaks for Tony Robbins. She's been mentioned on The View and in People magazine, and works with celebrities and influencers on their sexuality. So I've been mentoring with her for a couple of years really closely. About, I guess, like 9-10 years into my own sex coaching journey. I had followed her for years because I was in the Tantra world, and so was she. So I'd always followed her. And when she came out with this course, I realized that the way she was explaining people's sexuality was exactly what I had experienced in my 10 years of exploring and experimenting. And the way she explained it was so clear and concise and easy for people to understand that I was like, oh my gosh, I need to, take this course. And then I became an erotic blueprint coach. So that's what I've been really focusing on the last couple of years. So that's kind of the background of the blueprints. It's an online self-study course, and you can also work with a certified erotic blueprint coach to go further into this work and not just get the education piece. So there are 5 different blueprints, and neither one is good or bad. They're all just different. So one of the things I realized in my journey is that people will shame different expressions of sexuality or different sex acts or different ways that we are sexual with each other, and think that one is better than the other, or this one's wrong and this one's good or bad. And it's not really like that. They're all just different. So one of the main messages that we share with people is that, and if you get anything out of listening to this, this is the number one thing I want you to hear, is that you're not broken and there's nothing wrong with you, and you're whole and complete just like you are, and you deserve pleasure. It is your birthright. And yeah, that's
Kenny says it's all good.
Yeah. So the blueprints, there are, if anyone, you said, I saw people took the quiz. Yes. There's energetic and sensual. There's a sexual blueprint. There's a kink blueprint. And then there's a shapeshifter blueprint. So we are all a combination usually of all 5 blueprints.
And I
usually
saw that.
that we're dominant in one or two. Unless you're a shapeshifter, if you're a shapeshifter, you may find that your percent of each blueprint is pretty equal throughout, which is the sign of a shapeshifter. So there's that. And
so is that exactly what it sounds like? Is that so like they just shapeshift to their partners?
So I'll explain that one last, because since that's a combination. So the energetic blueprint type is very much into the energy and the vibe of the situation. They're really turned on from the tease or that space between. So they enjoy like more hovering touch, and they need to relax in order to have sex. And they're very much, it needs to be like an energetic connection. And for them, a lot of times it's very spiritual. And that's where you find a lot of the Tantra world. So it's energy exchange. The shadow side of energetic could be that if someone touches you and goes in too fast or too much too soon, you could shut down and disconnect from your body. Sometimes energetics get really hierarchical and they think that their way is the best way, especially within that Tantra world, because it's spiritual and enlightened and we're connecting with the divine energy flowing through us, and it's expansive and transformational. So they can get caught up in that experience and shame the rest of the blueprint. So that can also be a shadow. So each blueprint, it has a superpower and a shadow side. So the energetic superpower is literally experiencing orgasm without being touched. Super cool.
Yeah. Can I have that? That's not mine.
Yeah, so that's the energetic blueprints.
So Dwayne wanted to know, what about sexual?
Oh, we'll get there. I have a high sexual. And that is just like a sexual, by the way. Okay, what about the sexual? Can we get to the point now? Thank you very much. Why do we have to talk about this other stuff? Why is it important?
You just answered your own question.
I love you, and I hear you, and I see you.
We actually do have a question that is not to the blueprint, but I feel like let's not skip this.
Yeah.
JT Funk says, do you feel it's more difficult for men to discuss sexuality than it is for women? And if so, why?
So honestly, for me, I recognize, like, yes, there's men and women, but to me, people are people. And we do get different messages that we are kind of programmed unconsciously and consciously in our society and culture and our family and religion. So yes, we could get varying messages, but I don't think that that makes something exclusive, that it's more difficult for men than it is for women. I think if you were to take a poll, it would be broad throughout both. What I have noticed is that because women are automatically told, you know, we're intimate, we're caring, we're connective, you have feelings, you have emotions, you're a nurturer, you're a caregiver, like we're inundated with all this emotion stuff. And so it can be more acceptable for us to talk about emotions. And for men, they're fed, you don't have emotions. If you do, you're not allowed to express them. You know, you have to be the strength and stability. You pay the bills, you get the job done. You don't cry about it. Men are very dissected away from that level of like just skin to skin, normal contact. You know, so for men, I do see that a lot of times it's harder for them to talk about emotions and feel safe to talk about that, because a lot of times they're told they're not allowed to, and that there can be shame around that. And in the same breath, I've experienced that with women too. I know for me, it's been really hard to step into my emotions and my vulnerability. So that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, you could kind of blanket either one, but I still see the same issues within both sexes. And there's people that don't even identify as like only man or woman. We're seeing a lot of different gender identities, you know, different types of sexual self-expression. So, Yeah. And for those viewers, I hear you and I see you and I acknowledge they, them, non-binary, asexual, all these things. So just because I'm answering a question in the form of a male, female, I'm not excluding you.
Yes.
So
yes, very important. So
Yeah.
Dwayne said, no, he just thought he missed his.
Yeah, okay, you didn't miss it, Dwayne. You didn't miss it.
Now, and then if you were watching from the beginning, you would have understood that we said that the blueprint is very much similar to the love languages.
Yeah, it's similar to the love languages, except for this is for sex and arousal and pleasure.
Yes.
So we'll go into the second one is sensual blueprints. And the sensuals, their superpower is that they can really experience orgasm through all of their senses. Yes, and I see you moving to that. You're like, yes, ma'am. So yeah, that's like orgasm eating your favorite food or a fruit, or you can, really get into the texture of things as far as blankets or clothes, the lighting, the sound, music, what the visuals of like a sunset, all of the senses being engaged is very orgasmic for sensuals. So that's definitely a superpower of theirs. And they enjoy more of like massaging touch that's more full contact like that. Yes. And energetics and sensuals both need to relax in order to have sex and be intimate. And you'll see that there is a difference in some of the other blueprints with that. So the shadow side of the sensual is a lot of times they can get stuck in their head. And they can feel like the orgasm is elusive, like it's almost there and then it's gone. And then it's gone. And then almost, wait, never mind, not yet. That can be really challenging for them. And a lot of times is what that is usually about is the getting stuck in the head. They can get shut down real easy by, oh my God, there's laundry over there. And I'm like in my pleasure and I look over and there's laundry and I'm like, well, nope, not happening now. There's laundry over there. Or, the lighting isn't right. Or, the song, I don't like this song right now. How am I supposed to have an orgasm when this song is on? I don't even like that song.
Like, oh my God, did you rock? Is the pedicure okay?
Yeah. So, and that shadow can actually be turned into a superpower because my partner is very sensual and he is so on point with like the lighting, the music, the bed being a certain way, so he is so in tune with all of these things that, my sexual blueprint is like, doesn't even notice. And then I do notice and I'm like, oh, wow, this is like really, really nice. It's, it's like so luxurious. And I really appreciate that about him, So yeah, just because something is a shadow does not mean that it cannot be used in a way to
good to know.
Benefit you. Yeah, it's just applying it in a way that is going to serve you and not take away. So
there just needs to be some prep work for us sexuals.
Right, exactly. So for sensuals, I always say, sensuals, get your space ready or have a designated space, and have it set up and organized the way that you want it. And you usually, a lot of times, sensuals and energetic need like a routine to step into pleasure. Some people need a lot of like movement and energy to get out the day and get rid of this nervousness or the energy from the day so they can step into their bodies. I know I'm very much like that. I need intense physical activity and then I start to feel very grounded. Or it might be taking a shower, or it could be putting on something that you feel really sexy in, or like your favorite perfume or lotion, so a lot of times with energetics and sensuals, it's creating a routine or ritual to help you relax in order to step into pleasure.
Mine may sound crazy, but I feel like if my room is a mess, my head is a mess, and then I can't function or focus. So my room has to be like, even if I'm not in my room with my partner, if my room is not like together, then it's chaos in my head. Like, cause then I'm like, oh, I should be home taking care of the house. Or,
Right.
if I'm in the room, I'm like, I need this. It has to be, the bed has to be made. The room has to be clean. Everything has to be like that. And then I can like just dive in.
And and then it feels better to you.
Yeah.
So that's a super sensual thing. So let's go. Let's visit Dwayne's world.
Dwayne, this is for you.
Yes. I love the sexual blueprints. I love the simplicity. The sexual blueprint is kind of like your regular type American quote unquote norm. So it's nudity, direct genital contact, have, penetrative sex, oral sex, have the orgasms, and that's it. So it's very goal focused, and it is very much, do it, and that's what it is, and that's it. So for me, I really appreciate the sexual blueprint in the way that there's, it's no nonsense. It's very direct and straightforward. They'll even use very direct and straightforward language a lot of times, to whereas like you'll hear sensuals and energetics talk about things being really juicy and, enter my sacred temple.
Essence. And yes.
And the vibe and the energy of the situation and the romance. And a sexual's like, I don't know how free I can be with my language.
You can be very free.
Okay, good, because my sexual wants to say it. Sexuals will be like, can we just fuck now? Because when I'm in my sexual, I'm like, babe, I love you. I will cuddle with you, but can you just fuck me first?
Yes.
You know what I mean? So the sexual is very, very direct, and it's about the orgasms. And if everyone has the orgasms, then that's good. So the shadow side of the sexual, though, is that they can really miss out on all of these other ways to experience pleasure in their bodies beyond penetrative sex and beyond being goal focused. Some people that experience the shadow of the sexual can start to have like erectile dysfunction, or not being able to control the ejaculation because they're so goal focused and obsessed with this performance and this end result that they're missing out on the actual journey and exploration of going through this beautiful process. And so, the shadow side of that is you're really missing out on all this other stuff. And when we're overly focused on an end goal, then sometimes it creates anxiety around that end goal. And so then even that becomes a problem, So,
Dwayne said, you think they are more of people pleasure?
They are more of, I'm not quite sure that I understand the question. If you could clarify that.
Yeah, Dwayne, let me know what you mean by that.
Yeah, clarify that. So that's sexuals. And you know what else I found is that because that's the blueprints you kind of see like in porn, and the way that a lot of times men are told that that's how you are sexually. If they're energetic or sensual or kinky, and they're like, this sexual thing isn't necessarily working for me, they think there's something wrong with them. They think they're broken. They have shame. They have guilt, because they've been shown that when a woman just goes and grabs their dick and starts jerking it off, they're supposed to get hard and ejaculate. And if that doesn't work for them, it's like, wait a minute, like what's going on with me? That's what I'm seeing. That's what they told me I was supposed to be like. And I'm not like that. So what's going on? Yeah. And I also see as men get older and they're less driven by hormones, their body is no longer responding like they're 20. So they're no longer in a procreative time of their life. So what happens is their body starts shifting. And I think it's actually a blessing that they're now more open to other ways to explore and experience sexuality beyond penetrative sex. And a lot of times men will think, now that I don't respond by the wind blowing, or looking at a hot girl, there's something wrong with
There's
me.
something wrong, right?
I need to be like I was when I was 20, which is not the case. This is actually an opportunity for you to step into deeper pleasure and more pleasure than you have ever experienced before.
Right. Because intimacy isn't, and I guess for a sexual it's different, right? Because intimacy isn't just about the penetration, right? It's about everything leading to it as well.
Right.
So Dwayne wanted to clarify. He said, do you think sexuals are more of a people pleaser personality?
Not necessarily as far as like that blueprint goes. Sexuals want everyone to have orgasms. Absolutely. Because they're like, okay, you have the orgasm, I have the orgasms have been had and it's done. And that's what this is. Voila.
Okay.
Where you really see like sensuals and energetics can be very caught up in, is my partner experiencing pleasure? And so part of being in their head could be, well, is my partner liking this? Do they like what I'm doing? So that they can really go into heavy people pleasing thing. It's a major sensual thing too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They want to know.
Yeah.
So that's totally a thing. So
then there's kinky, right?
Kinky Blueprint. That one's super fun too. I love that one.
I don't know how I didn't get that, but whatever.
So this is the thing though. The Kink Blueprint is basically anything that is taboo to you is kinky. So if it's taboo to have sex with the lights on and you have sex with the lights on, that could be kinky to you. So whereas, yeah, exactly. But for someone else, what's taboo to them might be something, completely different. So that's really the essence of what kink is. It's, what is taboo to you? And we divide it into two separate parts to where there's a psychological kink and there's also a sensation kink. So the psychological kink is very much into energy games, power play, exchange of control, submission, domination. So it's very psychologically kinky that way. The sensation-based kink is more of, I'm experiencing pleasure from intense sensations on my body. Okay. So that's where you could get into like the spanking or flogging and all the different types of sensation play within BDSM. So that is a wide range. You could explore all things.
That's why I don't know why I didn't get that one.
Yeah, in a consensual way. So that, and the shadow side of that blueprint really is that there's a lot of shame involved because maybe what they like, someone has told them is not appropriate or it's weird or that's not what sex is. And, kink can, blueprint can actually have orgasmic energy flowing and experience orgasm, not even from a sexual contact as well. So they're very much can be into that energetic space, like a subspace of experiencing orgasm through these altered states of consciousness. So kink and energetic can experience altered states of consciousness through sexuality, which is super cool. Yeah, it's very, very cool. Even like in kink with like breath play and stuff like that, which is kind of an edge. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So Kim asks, can you be a mixture of blueprints? And if you check your spam, because I know you took the quiz, check your spam box, because what happens is if you took the quiz, it'll send you an email and it will tell you, kind of break down in different, numeric percentage where you kind of fall. So like for me, my breakdown, I was more predominantly sensual with 30%, but I still had I had Shapeshifter in there at a certain percent. I think it was like 14%. So it breaks it down. Double check your email, your spam box, and look for that email because it will break it down for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And so being a mixture of the blueprints is everyone's a mixture. And as we go through in the blueprint course and working with a blueprint coach, you can actually learn a somatic-based, a body-based game to see if your body responds the way that like your mind is. So when we're taking an online quiz, we're really operating from up here in our brain. Oh yeah, I'd like that. I don't like that. I don't know, maybe, you know, so you're kind of intellectually thinking about this stuff, especially if you're asking something you don't have a direct experience of. So we also go through a body-based game to where we see what's actually going on in the body. And so you can really learn more about your blueprint stack by doing the somatic body-based game as well.
Perfect. So before we go on to the last one, which is the shapeshifter, Dwayne asked another question, because I kind of feel like it goes to the kinky part, right? Which is, do you feel like 50 Shades of Grey was an accurate depiction
of kink? I mean, I'm just going to say no, because everyone has different dynamics, different things that they like, that they don't like. The thing I think was great about 50 Shades of Grey is that at least it brought BDSM and kink out into the open and released a lot of shame and guilt, and kind of took it out of the dark. So, and I'm going to be honest, like I didn't even watch those movies, and
it took me a while to watch them.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like living my own life of 50 Shades.
That's what I said. I was like, that's
my life is way better than any of those movies are going to be. Or, you know, what other one is a great kink movie is The Secretary. If anyone has seen that one, is really super hot. So, I mean, yeah, I'm sure somebody has a relationship like the one in 50 Shades of Grey. Sure. You know, I'm sure, but if you watch The Secretary, that's way different. And
I gotta watch
that. People, you'll find out that everybody likes different things. They have different boundaries, different, they're just different. So there's no right way. And there is no
wrong way.
Yeah, well, I guess there's a non-consensual way, which I guess is all wrong. But I mean, as long as you're within the realms of consent, no, there's nothing wrong. And everybody is so different. You're not going to run into the same person that's exactly the same. So you can't say this is an accurate depiction of anything, because like there's so much different stuff out there. What does accurate mean? You know, yeah, that could be accurate for that story, you know, but that's not accurate for my life, or maybe for yours, or for somebody else's. And
so I have to throw this comment up. Okay. I'm going to kick your ass, Alan, because I laughed. You were in the middle and I laughed. Which blueprint masturbates more? Asking for a friend. Just wanted Chrissy to laugh. Did I win? Yes, you did win. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say sensual.
Yeah, I think, again, that's a person by person basis. I don't know that that's necessarily a blueprint basis. Because really, I mean, as a sensual, you could be like, you know, you could be eating something and be an orgasm. So does that count as masturbation? Like, what about mental masturbation? If you're like having this deep conversation that's like really exciting and getting you off, and like, what does that even mean?
People like hazelnut chocolate. So we got one more. We got shapeshifter, right? That's the last one.
Yeah, is the combination of. So the superpower of shapeshifter is that they are a mix of all the blueprints. So they can be very skilled lovers. They are very sexually sophisticated, and they can, absolutely mold to fit anything. They love all of the things, which is amazing.
That's great.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Yes, I love being a shapeshifter. The shadow side of that, though, is when you are constantly molding to fit different people, you could not ever figure out what it is that you really like, or what are you really about? What do you really want? Because you're always molding to fit everybody else. Right. And so with shapeshifters, it's about learning to speak your needs and desires. And before that, it's figuring out what they are. Right? Shapeshifters can be really confusing lovers, because what worked today may not work tomorrow. or in 5 minutes. And
I need to know what works all the time. Like I can't do it.
and
If I touch you that way, then that's got to work all the time.
yeah, no, they're not like that. And so some shapeshifters like just blueprint hop, like today I'm feeling sexual, today I'm feeling sensual, today I'm feeling, and then there's some shapeshifters, like I know a lot of times for me, my experience will be, well, I'm going to create this kink dynamic in my head. So all of a sudden I'm going to be like, oh, now I'm the innocent one. And then, okay. And, so then, okay, I want my sensual blueprint fed. So I'm going to like put my favorite lotion on and get ready and wear this outfit and like feel all sensual. And then, okay, I want my energetic fed. So I'm like, ooh, look at me. I want the space between, I want the tease,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's like, okay, kinky. So then now I'm going to add an element of taboo to that. And so it's like adding all of these little elements of each blueprint into one experience. So maybe it's like, super kinky music, or maybe it's the sensual sheets and the smell, or, and then it's the direct sexual contact. Maybe I want energetic hovering touch like this directly on my genitals rather than, and then there's some days that it's like, you know what, I just want penetration and, all of the things. And then some days I'm like, oh no, if you touch me too much too soon, like it's too much.
Yeah.
So shapeshifters sometimes really want a little bit of all of those things.
Okay. Can it be all in one session, like one
Yes.
intimate session?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's a lot, Kenny. That's a lot, Kenny. Kenny's my shapeshifter. Bro, that's a lot.
Yeah, but I know it's fascinating and it's beautiful. And that kink is really cool because you really can add shapeshifter into a kink blueprint. You can be energetic. You can also be sensual. You can be sexual. So, I mean, shapeshifter is the limit.
Can you change as you get older? Can your blueprint change as you get older?
Yes, part of the whole thing is with the blueprint course, the idea is to, first of all, understand where you're at right now and what your blueprint is. And if you have a partner, understanding your partner's blueprint and where they're at. And then you can go into feeding your blueprint. So if you were which we're going to go into in a bit, if you're an energetic and you're with a sexual, you could feel like your energetic is not being fed and you feel shut down because the sexual is very direct. And so we're going to learn ways to actually feed your energetic so that you feel full and you feel satisfied. And you can also be compatible with your partner. So it's about figuring out what do you need and what feeds you. And then also what feeds your partner, what do they need? And then we learn to speak the blueprints. So each blueprint has a different way of speaking, a different tone and tempo, and they'll use different language and different words. And then we also learn to heal the blueprints. So speaking of those shadows, so like for kink, or even sexual, what if there's some shame or guilt around really enjoying, whatever it is that they like and that direct sexual self-expression or their taboo. We go through a process to where we start to heal those shadows. So where they're no longer holding us back and really integrate that into our whole sense of being. And then we also learn to expand our blueprints. So you can actually change over time just through growth and experimentation. So a lot of times is what I found is people will slowly start to expand into like a shapeshifter territory, because once they start learning about all of these different blueprints and they start trying things out and having these experiences, they start learning that they like all these different things they never knew before.
Yeah. And my girlfriend Eva said, I feel as I got older, I am more comfortable and could be more forward with what I want, kinky.
Yes.
Because she got kinky.
Yeah, exactly. And that's part of it too, is that as we get older, I think that we start to realize that some of those messages we were given about sexuality growing up are not necessarily the truth. There's a greater, bigger truth beyond what we learned growing up and even through our own experience. So as we start to heal some of that stuff, we can start to explore all of these other things. And I think that we learn language to describe what it is that we want. And that's one of the reasons I love the blueprints, is because it gives you an exact language to communicate your needs and desires and what you want and how you're feeling and where you're at right now.
I gotta say, I must have been really lucky because sex wasn't taboo for me. Like, it really wasn't. Like, I remember being young, probably when I shouldn't have been, but but I remember being very cognizant of what I liked and didn't like, and had no problem communicating that.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's a blessing and a gift, because so many people don't have that. And that's one of the reasons I knew that this was part of my path, was because I'm so open and expressive. And the one thing people always tell me is, like, I can tell you anything. I never feel judged. I feel really safe, to talk about this stuff that I've never been able to talk about before. I've never been able to find words for this before. So that's, just, one of those gifts and talents I realized. So that's part of my life purpose mission,
Yeah.
So.
Kenny, our shapeshifter, says, as I got older, I want 20 sex partners rolled up into one.
Right. And okay, so Kenny, I'll share some deeply personal information with all of you. So one thing I noticed is that I used to like to have a lot of different sex partners. And it was because, being a shapeshifter, I had a sexual blueprint partner. I had a sensual lover. I had a real energetic lover. I had more of a kinky lover. So yeah, I felt like I had to go to all these different people to get my needs met, because I didn't know how to express myself and ask for what I wanted with one person.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And one thing I also realized about myself also is I don't necessarily believe that human beings are naturally monogamous. I think that we can make a choice to be monogamous. So I never really had a lot of shame around having multiple partners. And even in my relationship right now, we're navigating like a conscious non-monogamy. So It's not just like a damn free-for-all, but we negotiate based on where we're at and what our needs are. And we hold our relationship as primary and sacred, and that is the be all end all. I tell him I would give up any other thing if it was going to cost me this relationship. So there's ways that you can create the relationship that you truly desire. And yeah, if you do want to have one partner, you can find that. And you can have all of those different people in one, or you could find that one partner that's open to going on that journey with you. And, like my partner and I, we like to explore with other people together. Mm-hmm. That's a huge thing for us too, because now we're sharing this experience together. And so you can really create whatever it is that you want to have. You just have to get really clear about it.
Right. And I actually have quite a few friends who are not in like they swing, and they have a very but there's rules, and there's things that you have to agree to, so that there's no miscommunication or anything like that. And like I said, I have quite a few friends that are like that, and I'm in awe of it. For me, that's not for me right now. But
yeah, man, I mean, it's
but everybody,
it's not easy. It takes a lot of communication, and it really makes you face parts of yourself that you didn't see before. So it makes you face abandonment issues or judgments that you have unconsciously around sex, or double standards that you have around sexuality that you don't necessarily consciously think you have, so it really mirrors back to you the darkest and deepest parts of you, so that you can heal them, And then you can make that decision moving forward on, how do we want to move forward with this? How do we want to navigate that relationship? But having the blueprints as a foundation in order to start to have these conversations is super helpful too.
So because I do want to segue into but before we do that, we do have one last comment from Alan. He said, "This is all great knowledge you're sharing. Thank you, Stacie, so much for joining Chrissy tonight and sharing all this with us. Bedtime for me. I will catch the rest tomorrow. Good night, ladies. Great show."
Thank you, Alan.
Yes. Pre-show, and we just kind of spoke about it a little bit before. How do you work with someone who is maybe not the same blueprint as you? Is it possible? Are you sexually incompatible? Is that a thing?
So in the blueprint world, we do not believe in sexual incompatibility. So I do believe that some people are unwilling, right? Which is different. Yes. Because if you're committed to your relationship and making this work and having epic sex together, then you're going to be willing to do some different things and learn and grow. So if both people are willing and open to go on that journey, there is no such thing as incompatibility. You get incompatible when two people are unwilling or one person is unwilling, and how we do that is looking at your blueprint stack, which is like the order of the blueprints, right? So like mine says it's shapeshifter and then energetic and sexual and kinky and then like sensuals at the bottom. So that's the stack, right? So you look at that stack and you look at your partner's stack and see, where can we start to expand into maybe another person's blueprint, or what do we need to heal around each blueprint in order for them to start to come together. So just a sexual understanding that energetic needs to relax to have sex. A sexual, a lot of times, needs to have sex in order to relax. Okay? That's the partner that comes in, grabs your breast, starts making out with you, fucks you crazy, and then all of a sudden starts opening up and talking about all this deeply personal information and going on and on and on. It's like after they have that orgasm, it's like the floodgates are open.
Oh, okay.
And so they need to have sex in order to relax. So the sexual needs this in order to relax. And to a sexual, sex is like food, water. This is a need, and if it is not met, I'm not okay. And so if an energetic understands that, then they can be more compassionate with the sexual. And if the sexual understands about the energetic, okay, they are interested in the space. I need to, find a way to not come on too much too soon. So, which is where we go through the different blueprint touches and the body-based game. I work with people to help them find ways to experience pleasure and orgasm just beyond the penetrative sex. So if a sexual knows, yes, we are going to get to the orgasms. That's going to happen. A lot of times they can relax and be like, okay, cool. I'll do the energetic touch, or I can do a sensual massage here because I know that this is going to happen. So the sexual will get anxiety around, is this going to happen? Is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? So sometimes that will calm down their nervous system. And yeah, you can start to bring it together.
So you said, we're energetic and sexual. You are so right.
Right.
We actually have our first question from Twitch. I'm not familiar with it. I do want to answer the question, and I hope it's a very serious question. I hope it's not, to be malicious in any way, but it's a question. So question for Stacie. She mentioned two people have to be on the same page. What about if your partner keeps saying no to anal sex?
So that is a matter of consent. So the way we navigate consent is in a container. So in this experience right here, right now, They could say, I don't want anal sex. I want this. I don't want that, XYZ. And so if there's a no in the beginning, then that's a no and it needs to be respected, and it can't become a yes later. If you're like, yes, I am open to this, and then you get into it and you're like, you know what, never mind, your yes can become a no. So it's really, really important to hold that container really, really sacred, because if you violate someone's consent and you violate that container, it's going to destroy trust in that relationship, and they will never be open to anything. They're not going to feel safe. So how can you talk to someone openly? How can you have sex openly? So a lot of times there's a safety concern there. And, you know, so if someone keeps saying, no, I don't want anal, then you need to respect that about them. If this is, you know, a relationship and it's something one person really, really wants, you could start to go into, okay, one, have the conversation. Why is this important to me? Mm-hmm. What does that mean? So if I have anal sex, what is that going to get me that's even deeper or better? What am I gaining from this? What do I really want here? You know, two, it's also looking at the other person and, okay, well, I respect your no, and I'm coming from a place of curiosity. Why is this such a hard no for you? Was there a trauma or a violation that occurred in the past that has not been healed, right? Is it a matter of, is there some shame maybe, or it's like thinking that it's dirty or it's bad? Is it just being afraid of pain? Because there's ways to do anal sex without it being painful. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's going into that and figuring out, okay, so is this something that if we found a way to ease into this and go slow and didn't start with just direct anal sex, maybe you start with anal massage, you know, okay, maybe we're going to start with a smaller toy or a finger first
or whatever. Yeah, right.
You're going to need a shit ton of lube, and I would recommend silicone lube, because there's no glands in the anus that makes it wet like in the vagina. The vagina will produce wetness. So you need a lot of lube.
And spit is not lube, gentlemen.
Spit is not lube. No, not at all. And if you're using condoms, don't use oil-based lubricant, because oil destroys latex. So, and female condoms are actually great for anal too, because, or they're called internal condoms. And is what they are is, instead of it going over the shaft of the penis, they actually are inserted into the vagina, or they could be inserted into the anus. Mm-hmm. And so that way the condom is in there, and then you're going in and out of that condom. So there's a lot of different ways that you could approach that subject. It just really needs to be explored in, and it needs to be with compassion and without shame and without judgment. Right. And so hopefully that helps.
Kenny. And I know Kenny personally. If it's a no, ask. You can get it somewhere else. You know. Kenny. So but you have to have that kind of relationship.
You need to have that conversation. And and so I've worked with people that, you know, maybe there's an aspect of their sexuality that their partner is not interested in or doesn't feel safe with. So they have that negotiation. Okay, this is really important to me. Can I go somewhere else to get it? Can I go see a professional? Mm-hmm. You know, can I go see a dominatrix? Can I go see a sex worker? Can I have another partner? Right. You know, how do I navigate this? So that again is a relationship negotiation in and of itself.
And it's a conversation. Isn't something that you make a decision solely on your own if you're in that type of monogamous relationship. Right. Even if you're in a relationship where you allow to go outside there, I feel like there still needs to be a conversation, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because there's, you know, you need to address sexual health issues, because there's no such thing as safe sex. There's only safer sex. Mm-hmm. So, that is a conversation. And there's also repercussions of, okay, yeah, sure, you can do this because I want you to be happy and I love you. And it makes me feel sick to my stomach thinking about this, and I want to cry and puke.
Yeah.
So what's going on with that? Well, that means that I'm scared, and I'm afraid that you're going to like that more than you like me. And I'm afraid of being abandoned. I'm afraid that I'm not good enough, or I'm not enough because now you're going somewhere else to get this. So a lot of times those conversations, really show us that part of ourself that needs healing. And it's one of the reasons why I say sexuality is one of the deepest, fastest ways to experience personal transformation, personal growth and development, and spiritual connection and spiritual growth and development, because those types of things show you parts of yourself that you won't see anywhere else, that you can hide, that you can manipulate and blow over. But that stuff shows up in the bedroom, and all of a sudden it's like right in your face. Yeah. And when we get the opportunity to heal that, we expand and experience more love and pleasure, and we can take that with us into the rest of our lives. We're no longer afraid of judgment when we're, maybe starting to go back to the gym, or we're feeling more confident at work. We're expressing our needs. We're making boundaries clear with friendships or family members because we learned how to do that with sex.
Yeah.
So
I know we're nearing that hour mark, and we can go on all night. And I had a list of questions. We didn't touch any of them, which is completely fine, because that's the way this show works. We got, we engage with the audience and we go from there. But I do want to ask one of the questions that I had on the list. And I feel like it's really important. How can we achieve sexual satisfaction either alone or with a partner? What does that look like?
So I think that looks different to everyone.
Okay.
And I will say that masturbation is the foundation of partner sex. So a lot of times when someone is not satisfied sexually, it also has to do with the fact that maybe they don't know what they want and they don't know their own bodies. And so it's about getting to know your own body and how does your body work? What do you like? What do you not like? What are you comfortable with? What are you not comfortable with? And figuring that out. I think you need to, determine what is a healthy, fulfilling sex life to me.
Okay.
And really figure that out first, because once you know that, you can share that with someone else and then see if they're on the same page. But if we're not being honest with ourselves, like if you know that you're not a monogamous person and that you have a history of cheating and not being monogamous, then do not sign up for a monogamous relationship. Just don't do it. You know why? Because there's plenty of people out there who are exactly like you. And when you are freely and in your power, expressing yourself and owning it and standing in that, you're giving other people permission to do the same. So that gives that person that says, damn, I always cheated on my partners too, I don't want to be monogamous. That's, like, I'm scared of that. That's a great fit. You just gave someone else permission to be themselves, or if their person is, monogamy is really important to me and this is who I am and this is what I'm about, it's better that we not even go there.
Right. And what's so funny that I've had different periods in my life. And there was one period in my life when I was like, I don't want to be in a committed relationship. I don't want to be in a serious relationship. I just want to be sexually satisfied. You go home, I go home, we go to our respective, and that's it. Like, there's nothing, I don't care what you do during the week. I don't care who else you talk to. I don't care. Like, just take care of me. I take care of you. And that's it. We'll enjoy our company when we're together. When we're not together, I don't care what you do. Mm-hmm. I found that, because I thought most men would be like, woohoo. No. I found that most men couldn't handle that. The men that I was meeting at that point to have that kind of relationship couldn't handle it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And they say, oh, men, they just sleep around and always cheat on things. That's not necessarily the truth either, and women only want to be monogamous and women only XYZ. That's not true either, and so it really is about determining, where are you at and what's best for you, and then finding a way to communicate with that. And also there's, embracing impermanence. And what I mean by that is that you're never going to be the exact same person that you are right now. Never again. Never going to be the same person in this moment right here, right now. So if we hold ourselves to this idea that we created 10 years ago, 2 months ago, and as time goes on, we grow and change. So it's about being open to growing and changing along the way and not getting caught up in the labels or in the stories or in, defining ourselves through a relationship or through sex. It's just an experience that we had. It doesn't define you. So no matter what type of sexual expression or experience you had, it's just part of the journey. And so if we're open to that impermanence, we're open to the change and the flow over time, you can always be satisfied and fulfilled because you're open to experiencing what's alive in you now. So just being open with that. And that's another reason why the communication in relationships is so important, is because we do grow and change over time. And if we never talked about this in the beginning, then what makes us think it's going to be easy to talk about in 5 or 10 years without
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So.
And I think that that communication is absolutely important, because when you do change, right, your partner's used to who you were, and you've got to communicate that change. Like, well, I'm starting to feel differently about this. We're not mind readers. Men or women are not mind readers, and we need to be able to have that open communication. So I do want to say thank you. So, I know we can go on. We need to do a part 2.
Forever.
We need to do a part 2, definitely. But I do want to provide your information to everybody who's watching. So Stacie's website is www.holisticprogressions.com. She provides sex coach, life coach, right? Therapy, all of that, all that counseling, spiritual. So you can check her out on her website. Also, you can check her out on Instagram. It's sexcoach_Stacie. And then you could also find her on Facebook at Holistic Sex Coach Stacie. I will be posting all of her links on my Ciphered Knowledge page. So if you didn't catch it with this show, you can just go to my Ciphered Knowledge page and find all her links there, so that you can communicate. Look in your spam boxes for everyone who took the blueprint, and find out about the online coaching from there, if that's something you want to continue on and are intrigued with. So before we have a comment, what's this? We got very true on the communication part, of course.
Yes. And I want to make an offer for you guys, for you all. Anyone that's listening and has been touched by this or feels triggered by this or wants to continue this conversation, I do offer discovery sessions. So I'm going to offer the first 10 people that tell me they heard me on this podcast a complimentary discovery session. And that's literally like a 2-hour phone call. So we can explore where you're at and what your goals are and what's holding you back, and brainstorm on some ideas to get there. And I also want to let you know that there's some really great transformational experiential workshops coming up that I'm going to be, where I already started posting about on my social media and on my newsletter. So I want to plant the seed for that and offer that discovery call to anyone that's interested. Yeah, you can send me an email at holisticprogressions@gmail.com, or
I will post that on.
Yes, or you can message me on Instagram too at sexcoach_Stacie. So
I want to get to some real quick. Great show. Thank you, ladies. This is my son. No, you're not in anywhere. This is Stacie, thank you so much for coming on. I truly, truly appreciate it. This was great. Like I said, we can always have a part 2 session. Here's her information again. Do you want to leave us on a little, any last kind of bit of advice that you want to leave us with?
Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to go back to that. You are not broken. and you are whole and complete just as you are. And if you feel like you're broken or shattered, celebrate that, because that is the moment that you have the opportunity to step into wholeness and embrace yourself as you are and be who you are.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. I'm sorry. I'm gonna do a little wrap up, but I do want to let everybody know the first time that I got to speak to Stacie on the phone, and I tell this to everybody when I tell them, the energy that I received through that phone was unbelievable. Like I couldn't even shake it. Like I couldn't shake it. I just kept calling everybody like, oh my God, I spoke to Stacie, and oh my God, I felt the energy through the phone. It was just too much and I couldn't shake it. And it was just like, I felt it like right through the phone. It was fire. I knew this was going to be amazing. And every time that I spoke to you up to that. So thank you so much for all this information. I'm telling you. And we might have to do a part 2.
Yes, same. I was so
Yeah.
excited to talk to you too. And like we totally vibed, and yes, absolutely. So thank you.
No problem. So
And yes,
everybody,
part 2 coming up.
yes. So everybody who enjoyed this episode of Cipher Knowledge with Chrissy, make sure that you go to Instagram and Facebook, and it's at Chrissy.Cipher. Follow the page so that you can get all up-to-date content. You can also find me over on YouTube at 2M1L Media with a bunch of other great shows around the turnbuckle, Spitting with Spitter, Home Team, and we also have another show coming in, 2 Cents with 2 Dimes. That'll be up soon. Before I go to my slogan, we got 3 more comments. I gotta get to them.
Celebrations.
So this was very interesting and informative discussion. You guys are awesome. Very good show, ladies. And then we got enjoyed. So thank you guys for that. And I'm going to leave you off with what I say at the end of every show, which is, if all you've experienced is all you know, then you are in a deficit of knowledge. So thank you so much for joining the Cipher this evening and coming on and listening to Stacie and all her information and having an open mind to it. Again, we're going to have a part 2. So guys, on that note, one love. We'll see you again.